plus a lot of blow-ups and stuff like crises. That was our, bread and butter. That's where we made all the money. I was lucky enough, I'd left the hedge fund and I started writing Global Macro Investor, my research service. I've been writing for 20 years now. And I was lucky enough to see a lot of what was about to happen for the financial crisis. And then I was living in Europe at the time, in Spain, and the European crisis came a few years later, where almost the governments of Europe blew up. And it was a big deal because at the time, banks were shutting down and taking people's money out. There was all sorts of bad things. Cyprus happened. And Cyprus, they basically took all money out of the banking system over 100 grand to confiscate it to pay for the losses in the bank. Having seen Lehman Brothers and all of that happen and realizing that nobody in the financial system knew who owned what, there was a mad scramble when people went bust. It's like, I own that. And they're like, no, but I own it too. And you realize that there's leverage everywhere. It's called rehypothecation. So the same collateral is rehypothecated like 30 times. So everyone has a claim. So when somebody goes bust, you get 1/30 of what you thought you're going to get back out. And I was like, holy shit, this is a problem. And journey ever since. But what happened, I said, when I wrote the first piece on it back in 2013, I said, this thing, if I just value it like gold on a stock to flow, i.e. how much we know is out there, how much comes in every year, I said it's probably worth 700 ounces of gold, which was $1 million at the time. And I'm like, fuck, okay, it's $200. I think fair value is $1 million. So let's assume I'm a total moron and discount me by 90%. It's worth 100 grand. This is the best risk reward we've ever been given. And so that was the start of my journey. Now, what I actually ended up selling out in 2017 into that big rally. I was up 10x. Bitcoin was forking. I'm like, fuck, I don't understand any of this. So I'm like, I'm out. I've made good money. It then ripped another 10x in 4 months into the end of that year to 20,000, then fell 85%. The whole game that we've all been through. And I'd already been through one 87% correction back in 2014. So I was kind of like, yeah, whatever. And then bought to switch around assets. You're now looking for, okay, I think we don't have many years until we reach full adoption. This is the time to make real money. We've got a bigger problem coming, which is the rise of AI and the robots. And, beyond 2030, things start getting really screwy. So we've got a period now to maximize your P&L. So you have to become a mercenary to your P&L. Now, we've already talked about, I don't know many rich traders. Very few. There's Paul Tudor Jones was good. Stan Druckenmiller is pretty good. But most short-term traders don't make a lot of money. The real money is to be Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk, is just to own your stock and don't sell it. If your company's growing at 50% a year, you become obscenely rich. Well, here's an asset or an asset class that's growing 100, 200% a year. All you need to do is not lose your tokens. And then, so I just start looking at the relative charts. So I look at, okay, what's got adoption? So developers, users, activity, and then, 2000, hold on, let me think about this. So 2022 was the end of winter, 23 was spring. So whatever that was, 19, and then 16. So those were the springs. And that's like spring. It's kind of, you're not sure the weather's going to be good. It might snow, might have a storm, the sun might come out. But normally prices start to rise because liquidity starts coming back into the system. Then by summer, which is this year, which was 2020, liquidity starts to flow, prices start to rise, confidence starts to build, you start to make a lot of money. And then we go into fall or autumn. That's the final year of the cycle. And that's when things tend to go bananas. It starts at the back end of the summer season, which is now. So we've been starting to see bananas, price rises and all sorts of stuff. And then next year, we get and out of this, my guess is stuff like punks will be at new all-time highs. Mm-hmm. The things that have survived will capture attention and then will have provable value. I've been collecting X-Copy art and Beeple and all of this kind of stuff. So I think and then we'll use NFTs for other things. but we know they can do high velocity, massive transactions. And so we're doing the same with memes now. 99% of this space will go to zero. But out of this, we're proving what social tokens are. We're proving how blockchains can spin up an ICO in 10 seconds on intangible. So I've had this thesis for a while, and this is what meme coins are, is the ability to create community money and incentive systems around a commonality of purpose. So we're seeing like DeSci is some of that. We're seeing like things like Forest, which is now a charitable thing about regenerating woodlands and forests. It's this, how do we coalesce a group of like-minded people with a like-minded idea and inject capital into it? I think it's going to, when we get to an AI world and we're all sitting around thinking, what the fuck do we do here? We will find that doing what you and I do, which is being part of communities, pays. I mean, it does pay already because, community is what giving us some alpha. But if you're a Taylor Swift fan, or let's say Taylor Swift 10 years ago, and you kind of discover her, and you can get tokens or NFTs or whatever that allows you to participate in that ecosystem, and you can help it grow by telling your friends, that incentivization grows these massive networks to speculate. But in the UK, it's, when I grew up, nobody bought shares. I worked in the city, but average people, they didn't buy shares. They just stuck money in their ISA, and that's all you hear. And so, yeah, I don't know, but the reality is the meme coin casino in the right part of the cycle has much better odds than the casino.
Yeah, 100%.
And then sports betting and everything else, generally.
Yeah.
Because the upside's so massive.
I love football, but there's absolutely no way I'm putting a 5-10 team accumulator on at the weekend. I just know for a fine fact I wouldn't even put 20 quid on it. If I have no difference throwing like ridiculous money at like some shit coins, because
the other thing that happens with
perceive the odds to be in my favor.
Yeah, the other thing that happens in sports is you get blinded by your own support for your team. Mm-hmm. So you make stupid odds. But at the meme coin casino, you kind of know it's all fucking ridiculous. And so people aren't overly married. So really, we've got 6 years to buy the house that you want, to get the security that you want. We don't even know what money's going to be in 20 years' time in a world of total abundance. I don't even know what it is. But now's the time to set up your life where it doesn't matter. And we've got the opportunity. So, everyone just needs to focus on it and not fuck up.
If you were to put a plus and minus on that, what would you, a year, 2 years?
I think 2 years is the most I assume I'm wrong by. So 2032, maybe even 2034. But at the speed that things are happening, this exponential age of technology, everything's doing this. The IQ of AI is like doubling every year. So if it's 120 now, which is more than the average human, it'll be 240 by next year. We're worth 3 times as much money as they were in London. I ended up selling a 3-bedroom like penthouse flat in Bayswater again, near Hyde Park, and bought a 5-bedroom house on 10 acres of land in a national park 10 minutes from the beach in Spain. But, okay, that was a big arbitrage. And life was better and it cost nothing. When I went out for dinner, feel it when you're in Singapore, you can feel it. It's everywhere.
So just to wrap up, I know we've kind of mentioned like kind of fractals with cycles, but where do you think we are in this cycle? I think a lot of people are scared because they haven't made any money and they don't want it to be the top. I don't think we're anywhere near the top. I think like the election was probably at the start of like a very aggressive cycle. A lot of people have shit on me for saying that, but I'd love to kind of pick your brain on where you think we are.
Okay, the issue being it depends what kind of crypto birth year you're from, right?
17.
Your class of 17, right? So what happened, most class of 17 people, is they got utterly fucked by 2021 because that last leg was short, right? Everyone thought, right, here we go, then the final big blow off, and it didn't happen,
Yeah.
But don't fuck around with this other stuff. Your chosen token, this is going to be the one. Probably isn't. The easiest trade is the second cycle trade. The Solana this time around, has it done well? Is the community still there? Does the price start performing in outright terms, and then versus ETH and Bitcoin? Yeah, that's the trade. The trade is not to be brave in the bear market and hold the riskiest stuff all the way down. Because it goes down 99.9